Listen carefully. What you think you know about money is a lie. Not a small lie. Not a white lie. A systematic deception that runs so deep, most men never realize they're trapped in it. You've been taught to save money in accounts that pay nothing, to work harder for raises that barely cover inflation, to follow financial advice designed to keep you comfortable enough to stay quiet, but desperate enough to keep working. This stops now. The wealthy people know something you don't. There are two economies, the visible one, where everyone competes for scraps, and the invisible one, where real wealth is created. The visible economy is theater, the invisible economy is reality. This audiobook isn't not another get-rich-quick scheme, it's the underground path, the one they don't want you to find. But the freedom is everything you thought it could be. You're about to discover how wealthy men actually think about money, time, and opportunity. If you're done with excuses, then welcome to the Darkwood audiobooks that will reveal today the underground path to financial freedom. Let's begin. Listen carefully. What you think you know about money is a lie, not a small lie, not a white lie. A systematic deception that runs so deep, most men never realize they're trapped in it. While you're studying budgets and savings accounts, wealthy men are playing an entirely different game. They're not smarter than you. They're not luckier. They simply know the rules that nobody teaches. The first rule: forget everything you've been told about fair play. Money doesn't care about your morals. Markets don't care about your effort. The economy doesn't reward good intentions. This isn't cynicism. It's reality. And until you accept this brutal truth, you'll remain a player in someone else's game. Look around you. The middle class shrinks every year. Not because people are lazy, because they're playing by rules that were designed to keep them exactly where they are, comfortable enough to stay quiet, struggling enough to stay desperate. The wealthy understand something fundamental. There are two economies. The visible one that everyone sees, jobs, salaries, traditional investments, and the invisible one where real wealth is created. The visible economy is a theater. Everyone performs their role. Employees show up. Employers pay wages. Banks offer loans at rates that keep you paying forever. It's predictable, safe, and guaranteed to keep you broke. The invisible economy operates differently. It's built on information asymmetries, relationship capital, strategic positioning, understanding what others don't, moving before others can react. This is where fortunes are made and lost in silence. Consider this. Every major financial move that changed someone's life happened because they saw something others missed. They bought when others sold. They invested when others saved. They took calculated risks when others played it safe, not because they were reckless. Because they understood the game. The hidden game has hidden rules. Rule 1. Traditional employment is not a path to wealth. It's a trap that trades your time for just enough money to keep you trapped. Rule 2. The financial advice industry profits from your ignorance. The longer you stay broke, the more products they can sell you. Rule 3. True wealth is built through asymmetric opportunities. Small risks with massive upside, potential that most people either can't see or can't access. Rule 4. Information is everything. By the time something becomes common knowledge, the opportunity is gone. Rule 5. The system is designed to extract wealth from the many and concentrate it in the hands of the few. You can either feed the system or learn to leverage it. This isn't a conspiracy. It's simple economics. Capital flows to those who understand how capital works. The wealthy don't just earn money differently, they think about money differently. For them, money isn't security or status. It's a tool, a weapon, a way to buy freedom and create more opportunities. They understand leverage, not just financial leverage, but leverage in all its forms. They leverage other people's time, other people's money, other people's expertise. They build systems that generate returns whether they're working or sleeping. Most importantly, they understand that the greatest wealth is invisible wealth. The assets that don't show, up on tax returns, the relationships that can't be audited, the knowledge that can't be seized. This is what separates the wealthy from the wishful. While everyone else is focused on making money, the wealthy are focused on acquiring assets that make money for them. They buy businesses, not products. They invest in cash flow, not appreciation. They build networks, not just net worth. The transition from employee mindset to owner mindset is violent. It requires you to abandon everything you were taught about safety and security. It demands that you become comfortable with uncertainty because certainty is the enemy of growth. But here's what they don't tell you. The greatest risk is playing it safe. The greatest danger is following the conventional path. The most expensive mistake is trusting that someone else will secure your future. The hidden game rewards those who see clearly and act decisively. It punishes those who hesitate and follow crowds. It destroys those who wait for permission or guarantees. Entry into this game requires more than money. It requires a fundamental shift in how you see the world. You must learn to think like capital, not labor, to move like water, not stone, to strike like lightning, not thunder. The barrier to entry isn't financial, it's psychological. Most men can't handle the isolation that comes with thinking differently. They can't stomach the uncertainty that comes with real opportunity. They can't bear the responsibility that comes with true freedom. But if you can see past the theater of the visible economy, if you can think independently while others follow trends, if you can act while others analyze, then the hidden game isn't just available to you, it's waiting for you. The rules exist. The game is real. The question isn't whether you can learn to play. The question is whether you have the stomach for what winning requires. Because in the hidden game, there are no participation trophies, no safety nets, no guarantees. There is only one rule that matters: adapt or be consumed. The choice is yours, but the game has already begun. Your job is not your income, it's your ceiling. Every hour you trade for wages is an hour you're not building something that pays you while you sleep. This fundamental misunderstanding keeps more men broke than any market crash or economic downturn. Wealthy men understand a simple truth. Multiple income streams aren't a luxury, they're survival. Not because they're greedy, but because they're realistic about how fragile single-source income really is. Your employer can fire you. Your industry can collapse. Your health can fail. But 7 different income streams. That requires 7 different catastrophes happening simultaneously. The mathematics of multiple income streams work in your favor through diversification, but more importantly through amplification. 1 income stream might fail, 3 might stagnate, but the 2 that succeed will more than compensate for the others. This isn't about working 7 different jobs. It's about building systems that generate revenue without requiring your constant presence. The first invisible income stream: information arbitrage. You know things other people don't. You have access to information, skills, or perspectives that have value in markets you haven't considered. The key is identifying what you know that others need, then building systems to deliver that knowledge at scale. This could be teaching specialized skills through online courses, consulting for businesses that lack your expertise, creating content around niche knowledge, writing about experiences others haven't had. The barrier isn't expertise, it's recognition. Most men undervalue their own knowledge because they assume everyone knows what they know. This is a costly mistake. Your normal is someone else's impossible. The second invisible income stream: asset arbitrage. Buy low, sell high. Simple in concept, brutal in execution. But the opportunities exist everywhere if you know how to see them. Real estate in overlooked markets. Businesses with potential that current owners can't see. Domain, names, collectibles, equipment, inventory. Anything where you can spot value that others miss. Success in asset arbitrage requires 3 things: market knowledge, available capital, and the emotional discipline to act when opportunities arise and wait when they don't. The third invisible income stream: Time arbitrage. You can be in only one place at one time, but your systems, your content, your products can be working in 1,000 places simultaneously. Create something once, sell it repeatedly. Build a system once, let it generate revenue continuously. Solve a problem once, help people solve it forever. This is the difference between trading time for money and investing time to create money-generating assets. The upfront work is heavier, but the long-term payoff is exponentially greater. The fourth invisible income stream, relationship arbitrage. You know people who need things. You know people who provide things. Sometimes the most valuable thing you can do is connect these people and take a percentage of the value you create. This isn't about being a middleman. It's about being a value creator who gets compensated for creating value. Broker deals. Facilitate partnerships. Introduce buyers to sellers. Connect problems to solutions. Your network is your net worth, but only if you learn how to monetize relationships without destroying them. The fifth invisible income stream, attention arbitrage. In the attention economy, focus is currency. If you can capture and direct attention, you can monetize it through advertising, affiliate marketing, sponsorships, and product sales. Build an audience around something you understand better than most people. Create content that serves that audience, then monetize that relationship through multiple channels. The key is providing genuine value before extracting financial value. Trust first, profit second. Always. The psychology of multiple income streams is as important as the mechanics. Most men sabotage themselves not through lack of opportunity, but through lack of mental preparation. They think small. They start projects but don't finish them. They give up when results don't come immediately. They spread themselves too thin trying to build everything at once. Success requires a different approach. Sequential development. Start with one additional income stream. Build it to profitability. Systematize it so it requires minimal, ongoing attention. Then start the second one. Each new stream should either complement the existing ones or be completely independent. Never build streams that compete with each other for your time and attention. The compound effect of multiple income streams isn't just financial, it's psychological. Each stream that succeeds makes you more confident about building the next one. Each stream that generates passive income makes you less dependent on any single source. This independence changes how you show up in the world. You stop making decisions from desperation. You start making decisions from abundance. You become selective about opportunities instead of grateful for whatever comes your way. But building invisible income streams requires invisible work. Long hours with no immediate payoff. Systems that break before they work. Investments that take months or years to generate returns. Most men can't handle this delayed gratification. They want immediate results from immediate effort. This impatience keeps them trapped in the visible economy where payment is immediate, but wealth is impossible. The invisible income streams reward those who can do today's work for tomorrow's payoff. Who can build in silence while others spend in noise. Who can delay gratification long enough to create systems that generate lasting abundance. Each stream you build increases your options. Each option increases your power. Each increase in power makes you less controllable by circumstances and more capable of creating the life you actually want. The goal isn't to get rich quick, it's to get free permanently. And freedom comes not from one large income stream, but from many smaller streams that combine into a river of abundance that flows regardless of what any single economic force might do. The streams exist. The opportunities are real. The only question is whether you're willing to do the invisible work necessary to build them. Because in the world of invisible income streams, the only way to fail permanently is to never begin. Wealth is built in the hours when the world sleeps, not because there's magic in early mornings or late nights, but because wealth requires work that, uncomfortable, unglamorous, and invisible, the kind of work that doesn't generate likes or applause, the kind that happens in silence, in shadows, without witnesses. This is shadow work. The grinding, persistent, often boring effort that separates those who achieve financial freedom from those who simply dream about it. Most men fail not because they lack opportunity or intelligence. They fail because they lack the discipline to do unrewarded work consistently over extended periods of time. They want the glory without the grind, the results without the repetition, the wealth without the shadow work that creates it. But wealth doesn't care about your motivation. It only responds to your actions. And the actions that create wealth are rarely motivating in the moment. Consider what wealth building actually looks like day to day. Research that leads nowhere 90% of the time. Analysis that reveals nothing immediately useful. Relationship building that takes months to show any return. System development that breaks more often than it works. Investment in education that might never pay off. This is the shadow work. Unglamorous, unrewarded, uncertain, but absolutely essential. The difference between those who build wealth and those who stay broke isn't talent or luck. It's tolerance for doing necessary work without immediate payoff. Wealthy men understand that most of their work won't show results for months or years. They do it anyway. Not because they enjoy it, but because they understand it's the price of freedom. The shadow work operates on different timelines than regular work. Regular work pays you this week for this week's effort. Shadow work pays you in 5 years for this month's effort. This time. Displacement is why most men can't sustain it. They need immediate feedback, immediate rewards, immediate progress they can see and measure. Shadow work offers none of this. It asks you to plant trees you might never sit under, to build systems that might not pay off until you're older, to make investments in knowledge, relationships, and assets that compound slowly and invisibly. The daily reality of shadow work isn't inspirational. It's repetitive. Research, planning, building, testing, failing, adjusting, trying again. No fanfare, no recognition, no guarantee of success. Just the quiet discipline of doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. Most wealth is built through thousands of small, seemingly insignificant actions that compound over time. Reading industry reports when you could be watching TV, making phone calls when you could be relaxing, learning new skills when you could be socializing. Each individual action seems pointless, but the accumulation of these actions creates knowledge, relationships, and capabilities that eventually become valuable. The shadow work requires different psychological strength than regular work. Regular work gives you feedback through paychecks, performance reviews, and social recognition. Shadow work gives you nothing but the possibility that your effort might eventually matter. This psychological challenge eliminates most people. They can't sustain effort without external validation. They need others to tell them they're making progress. They require evidence that their work is worthwhile. Shadow work offers none of this comfort. It demands that you work based on faith in compound effects you can't yet see. It requires you to value long-term potential over short-term comfort. The men who succeed at shadow work develop internal validation systems. They measure progress through inputs, not outcomes. Hours invested, skills developed, relationships built, systems created. They understand that control lies in effort, not results. They can control how many hours they invest in learning. They can control how many people they reach out to. They can control how many different approaches they test. They cannot control when these efforts will pay off or how much they'll be worth. But they understand that consistent effort in the right direction eventually produces results. This is why discipline matters more than motivation. Motivation is emotional energy that comes and goes based on how you feel. Discipline is systematic action that continues regardless of how you feel. Wealthy men don't feel like doing shadow work most of the time. They do it anyway because they've made it a system, not a choice. They build routines that execute automatically. They create environments that make the right actions easier and wrong actions harder. They develop habits that remove willpower from the equation. The shadow work happens in the margins. Before work, after work, on weekends, during vacations. Not because wealthy men are workaholics, but because they understand that financial freedom requires temporary sacrifice of immediate comfort. They trade present leisure for future freedom, present entertainment for future options, present consumption for future abundance. This isn't about working more hours, it's about working different hours on different things. Instead of passive consumption, active creation. Instead of entertainment, education. Instead of spending, investing. The compound effect of shadow work isn't just financial, it's psychological. Each day you do the work without immediate reward builds your tolerance for delayed gratification. Each month you sustain effort builds confidence in your ability to achieve long-term goals. Eventually, you become the kind of person who can see opportunities others miss and sustain efforts. Pose. There's abandon. This transformation is more valuable than any specific skill or strategy because it makes you capable of adapting to whatever opportunities arise. The shadow work separates professionals from amateurs. Amateurs work when they feel motivated. Professionals work regardless of how they feel. Amateurs stop when progress slows. Professionals understand that progress isn't linear and plateau. Periods are part of the process. Amateurs need external validation to continue. Professionals validate themselves through consistency and process improvement. The greatest wealth is built by men who can do boring work for years without recognition, knowing that the compound effect of their effort will eventually become undeniable. But here's what they don't tell you about shadow work. It becomes easier over time, not harder. The initial resistance is psychological. Your brain fights work that doesn't provide immediate gratification. But once you establish the pattern, once you build the systems, once you develop the habits, the work becomes automatic. Eventually, not doing the shadow work becomes more uncomfortable than doing it. The routine becomes part of your identity. The work becomes part of who you are. When the systems you've built start generating results that justify the effort you invested. But you have to survive the shadow work period first. The months or years when the work feels pointless and the results seem impossible. Most men quit during this period. They can't tolerate the uncertainty. They can't sustain effort without evidence. They can't do the work in the shadows. But the few who can, the ones who learn to work when others sleep, to build when others consume, to invest when others spend, they eventually emerge from the shadows with wealth that seems to have appeared from nowhere. It didn't appear from nowhere. It emerged for shadow work that nobody saw and few would be willing to do. The shadows are where wealth is born. The question is whether you're willing to work there long enough to see what you can create. Money reveals truth like nothing else can. Strip away the politics, the morality, the social conditioning, and you're left with brutal mathematical reality. Money flows according to laws that don't care about your feelings or fairness, or what you think you deserve. Understanding these laws, really understanding them, requires you to abandon most of what you've been taught about money. Not because your teachers were malicious, but because they were teaching social theory, not economic reality. The first dark truth: money is not distributed fairly, and it never will be. The universe doesn't owe you financial success. The market doesn't care about your effort. The economy doesn't reward good intentions. Money flows to those who understand how money flows, not to those who work hardest or deserve it most. This isn't cynicism, it's physics. Capital flows to where it can generate the highest returns with acceptable risk. Nothing more, nothing less. Your background, your story, your struggles, your morals, none of this matters to money. Money is amoral. It goes where it's treated best, not where it's needed most. The second dark truth: inflation is theft, but it's legal theft. Every year the purchasing power of your savings decreases. This isn't accidental. It's systematic wealth. Transfer from savers to debtors, from the financially unsophisticated to those who understand how to leverage inflation. While you're trying to save money in bank accounts that pay less than inflation, wealthy men are borrowing money at rates below inflation to buy assets that appreciate faster than currency depreciates. They get paid to borrow. You pay to save. This isn't fair, but it's reality. The third dark truth. The financial advice industry profits from keeping you poor. If everyone became wealthy, who would need financial advisors, debt consolidation services, credit repay, hire companies, and investment seminars? The industry needs a steady stream of financially desperate customers. Most financial advice is designed to keep you engaged with the financial services industry, not to make you wealthy. Real wealth building strategies are simple, boring, and don't require ongoing professional management. This is why you're sold complexity instead of clarity, products instead of principles, services instead of education. The fourth dark truth. Debt is slavery with better marketing. Every monthly payment you make is a claim on your future labor. Every loan you take reduces your freedom and increases your vulnerability. Debt transforms you from a free agent into a wage slave with obligations. The system is designed to keep you in debt because debt makes you predictable and controllable. Desperate men take any job at any wage. Free men can afford to be selective. Wealthy men understand this. They use debt strategically to acquire appreciating assets, not to finance consumption. They borrow against cash-flowing assets, not against their future earnings. The fifth dark truth. Your job is not security. It's the illusion of security. Employment feels safe because the payments are regular and predictable, but this predictability comes at the cost of scalability and control. You can never earn more than your employer is willing to pay you, and you can lose everything with a single decision that's completely outside your control. Real security comes from multiple income streams, valuable skills that transfer across industries, and assets that generate cash flow independent of your physical presence. The sixth dark truth. The middle class is a marketing concept, not an economic reality. There are those who own assets and those who don't. Those who live off investment returns and those who trade time for money. Those who have options and those who have obligations. The middle class is just a comfortable label for people who make enough money to consume, but not enough to accumulate meaningful wealth. They're high-earning wage slaves who mistake consumption for prosperity. The seventh dark truth. Taxes are the single largest expense for most people, yet the least understood. The tax code isn't designed to be fair. It's designed to incentivize certain behaviors and penalize others. Wealthy men structure their affairs to minimize taxes legally and strategically. They understand that it's not how much you make that matters. It's how much you keep after taxes, inflation, and expenses. A high income with high taxes often leaves you with less actual wealth than a moderate income with strategic tax planning. The eighth dark truth. Financial education is deliberately withheld from public curricula. Schools teach you to be employees, not owners. They teach you to follow directions, not to think independently. They prepare you to work for others, not to create value for yourself. This isn't conspiracy, it's economics. The system needs workers more than it needs entrepreneurs. It needs consumers more than it needs investors. It needs people who are financially dependent more than it needs people who are financially independent. The ninth dark truth. Most investment advice is backward. You're told to diversify when concentration builds wealth. You're told to invest for the long term when the best opportunities require tactical timing. You're told to avoid risk when the greatest risk is avoiding risk. Wealthy men understand that extraordinary returns require extraordinary approaches. They concentrate their investments in areas where they have known knowledge advantages. They move quickly when opportunities arise and patiently when they don't. The 10th dark truth. Your emotions are your enemy in financial matters. Fear makes you sell low. Greed makes you buy high. Hope makes you hold losing investments too long. Desperation makes you take bad deals. Wealthy men develop emotional discipline around money. They make decisions based on data, not feelings. They act when logic says act, and wait when logic says wait, regardless of how they feel about it. These truths are uncomfortable because they require you to take complete responsibility for your financial situation. You can't blame the system, your employer, your background, or your circumstances. The system is what it is. It's not going to change to accommodate your preferences or moral sensibilities. Your only choice is to learn how the system actually works and position yourself accordingly. Wealthy men think like hunters, not prey. They identify opportunities, stalk them patiently, and strike decisively when the moment is right. They understand that in financial markets, you're either eating or being eaten. The dark money truths aren't moral judgments, they're operational realities. Understanding them doesn't make you a bad person. Ignoring them doesn't make you a good person. It just makes you poor. Money is a tool for creating freedom and options. But like any tool, it works according to specific principles that don't care about your feelings or preferences. You can work with these principles or against them. You can accept these truths or reject them, but you cannot change them. The only question is whether you'll adapt to reality or continue fighting against it, because reality always wins. And in the game of money, reality is the only rule that matters. Every significant financial opportunity comes through relationships, not networking events with name tags and forced conversations, not LinkedIn connections with strangers who might be useful someday. Real relationships, with real trust, built over real time through real value creation. The networks that matter exist in shadows. They operate through introduction, not application. They're accessed through demonstration, not self-promotion. They reward contribution, not connection. These underground networks control more wealth than any institution, government, or corporation. They exist in every industry, every market, every level of business, but they're invisible to those who don't understand how they work. The first principle of underground networks: access is earned, never given. You don't join these networks by asking. You join by becoming someone worth knowing. By solving problems others can't solve. By creating value others can't create. By demonstrating capabilities others lack. The path to access is always the same. Become valuable first. Seek relationships second. Most men approach this backward. They try to network their way to value instead of creating value their way to networks. This approach fails because valuable people don't need relationships with non-valuable people. The second principle: trust is the only currency that matters. In underground networks, reputation is everything, and second chances are rare. One broken commitment, one violated confidence, one moment of self-serving behavior can destroy years of relationship building. Trust is built through consistency over time, small promises kept, confidential information protected, value delivered without being asked. Reliability demonstrated repeatedly, but trust is also built through shared risk. When you take risk alongside someone, when you have skin in the same game, when your success is tied to their success, real trust begins to form. The third principle: mutual benefit is the foundation of all valuable relationships. Underground networks aren't about who you know. They're about what value you can create for people who can create value for you. This isn't transactional, it's strategic. You identify people whose success would benefit from your capabilities. You find ways to contribute to their projects, solve their problems, advance their interests. You become someone they think of when opportunities arise. But this only works if the value flows both ways. One-sided relationships don't last. Networks built on taking without giving eventually collapse. The fourth principle: information flows through relationships, not institutions. The most valuable information never appears in reports, articles, or public forums. It travels through private conversations between people who trust each other. It's shared in confidence, often without being asked for. The fifth principle: introduction is everything. In underground networks, cold outreach fails. Warm introductions succeed. The credibility of the person making the introduction transfers to the person being introduced. This is why network cultivation is a long-term strategy. You build relationships with people who are connected to other people you want to meet. You become someone worth introducing. You create value for introducers by proving their judgment was sound. The sixth principle: timing matters more than qualifications. Underground networks move fast. When opportunities arise, there's no time for lengthy evaluation processes. Decisions are made based on trust, track record, and availability. Being in position when opportunities arise matters more than being perfectly qualified. Networks remember who shows up, who delivers under pressure, who can move quickly where in speed matters. The seventh principle: discretion is mandatory. Underground networks operate in shadows for good reason. Many of the opportunities discussed aren't public information. Many of the strategies shared aren't widely known. Many of the connections made aren't meant to be advertised. The process begins with mapping. Identify the people in your industry or market who seem to know things before others know them, who get opportunities before they're advertised, who move between deals and projects with apparent ease. These people are network nodes. They're connected to other valuable people. They have access to information and opportunities. They're worth building relationships with, but approaching them directly rarely works. Instead, find ways to contribute value to their projects or interests. Offer skills they need. Provide information they lack. Solve problems they face. Do this without asking for anything in return. Your goal isn't immediate reciprocation. It's long-term relationship development. Over time, as you prove your value and reliability, you'll gain access to conversations, introductions, and opportunities that don't exist outside the network. But remember, underground networks are meritocratic but ruthless. They reward those who contribute and exclude those who extract. They elevate those who create value and eliminate those who waste time. Your reputation in these networks is built through actions, not words. Promises kept, not made. Value delivered, not claimed. The greatest mistake men make in network building is focusing on what they can get instead of what they can give. They approach relationships as transactions instead of investments. They seek immediate benefit instead of long-term value creation. This approach fails because valuable people can detect extractive intent immediately. They've been approached by countless people who want something from them. They've learned to identify and avoid those who take without giving. Successful network building requires genuine interest in others' success. You must become someone who makes others more successful simply by being around them. You must contribute more value than you consume. This isn't altruism, it's strategy. The more value you create for network members, the more valuable you become to the network. The more valuable you become, the more opportunities flow your way. Underground networks compound wealth through information sharing, opportunity creation, and resource pooling. But access to these benefits requires demonstrating that you deserve them. The demonstration period can last years. During this time, you'll contribute more than you receive. You'll invest time and effort without guaranteed return. You'll prove your reliability through consistency over time. Most men quit during this demonstration period. They become impatient with delayed gratification. They expect immediate returns on relationship investments. They abandon network building when results don't come quickly. But those who persist, who continue creating value without immediate reward, eventually gain access to opportunities that can transform their financial situation overnight. Because in underground networks, trust equals access. Access equals information. Information equals opportunity. And opportunity, properly executed, equals wealth. The networks exist. The opportunities are real. The only question is whether you're willing to do what it takes to earn your way inside. Because on the outside, you're competing with everyone. On the inside, you're collaborating with everyone. And collaboration always beats competition in the long run. Your bank is not your friend. It's a business designed to profit from your money while providing you with the minimum service necessary to keep you as a customer. Every product they offer, every service they provide, every piece of advice they give is structured to benefit them first and you second. Wealthy men understand this reality and respond accordingly. They don't use banks the way middle-class people use banks. They create their own financial ecosystems that serve their wealth-building objectives instead of the bank's profit objectives. This is shadow banking, the parallel financial system that operates outside traditional banking institutions but accomplishes the same functions with better terms and more control. The first principle of shadow banking: your money should work harder than you do. Traditional banks pay you virtually nothing for your deposits while lending that same money out at significantly higher rates. They profit from the spread between what they pay you and what borrowers pay them. In shadow banking, you eliminate the middleman and capture both sides of this spread. You become both the bank and the beneficiary of the bank's profits. This happens through various mechanisms: direct lending to individuals or businesses, investing in cash, flowing assets, purchasing high-yield securities, creating revenue-generating systems that use your capital as fuel. The key is understanding that cash sitting in traditional savings accounts isn't working for you. It's working for the bank. The second principle: debt is a tool, not a burden. Traditional banking teaches you to avoid debt or to pay it off as quickly as possible. This advice serves the bank's risk management objectives but undermines your wealth-building potential. Wealthy men use debt strategically to acquire appreciating assets and leverage their returns. They borrow at low rates to invest in opportunities that generate higher returns. They use other people's money to amplify their wealth creation while maintaining control of the assets. The key distinction: they borrow to acquire assets that generate cash flow, not to finance consumption. Every dollar of debt is matched with a dollar of productive asset that generates returns exceeding the cost of the debt. The third principle: liquidity and growth can coexist. Traditional banking forces you to choose between liquidity and growth. Savings accounts offer liquidity, but no growth. Investment accounts offer growth potential, but limited liquidity. Shadow banking strategies provide both. Through properly structured investments, you can maintain access to your capital while generating returns that exceed what traditional banks offer. This might involve investment structures that allow borrowing against appreciating assets, portfolio strategies that generate regular distributions while maintaining growth potential, business investments that provide both cash flow and equity appreciation. The fourth principle: privacy is valuable. Traditional banks report everything to governments, credit agencies, and regulatory bodies. Every transaction is tracked, recorded, and analyzed. Your financial privacy is essentially non-existent. Shadow banking strategies often provide more privacy and discretion. Legal structures that keep assets private, investment vehicles that don't require public reporting, transaction methods that maintain anonymity within legal boundaries. This privacy isn't about hiding illegal activity. It's about maintaining financial discretion and protecting yourself from the various parties who might want to access your wealth. The fifth principle: control is more important than returns. Traditional banking gives you virtually no control over your money once you deposit it. The bank decides how to invest it, who to lend it to, and what terms to offer. You receive whatever return they're willing to provide. Shadow banking prioritizes control. You decide how your money is invested. You choose the risk level. You determine the terms. You maintain direct ownership of assets rather than claims on assets managed by others. This control allows you to respond quickly to opportunities, adjust strategies based on market conditions, and optimize for your specific objectives rather than the bank's general policies. Creating your own shadow banking system requires understanding several key structures and strategies. Asset-based lending allows you to use appreciating assets as collateral for loans at rates typically lower than unsecured borrowing. Real estate, securities, business assets, all can serve as collateral for accessing capital without selling the underlying assets. Private lending opportunities exist where you can earn higher returns by lending directly to borrowers who can't or don't want to use traditional banks. Real estate investors, business owners, individuals with unique circumstances all represent potential borrowers who will pay premium rates for flexible terms. Investment structures like self-directed IRAs, solo 401ks, and other retirement vehicles allow you to invest retirement funds in non-traditional assets while maintaining tax advantages. Real estate, private, businesses, precious metals, cryptocurrency. Investments typically not available through traditional retirement accounts. Business structures can serve as banking alternatives. Limited liability companies, corporations, and partnerships can hold assets, generate income, and provide tax advantages while giving you more control than traditional banking relationships. Alternative investments like precious metals, cryptocurrency, commodities, and collectibles can serve banking functions while potentially appreciating in value. These assets can provide portfolio, diversification, and inflation protection that traditional bank accounts cannot offer. The transition from traditional banking to shadow banking requires careful planning and execution. You can't simply close your bank accounts and immediately implement alternative strategies. The transition must be gradual and strategic. Start by reducing your dependence on traditional banks for functions they don't perform well. Move excess cash from low-yield savings accounts into higher-yield alternatives. Replace traditional investment products with strategies that offer better terms or more control. Gradually build alternative financial infrastructure. Establish relationships with private lenders, investment managers, and financial professionals who understand shadow banking strategies. Create legal structures that provide the privacy and control you want. Develop expertise in areas where you plan to deploy capital. If you're going to lend privately, understand how to evaluate borrowers and structure deals. If you're going to invest in alternative assets, learn how those markets work. The goal isn't to eliminate all traditional banking relationships. It's to reduce your dependence on them while increasing your control and returns. Shadow banking isn't appropriate for everyone. It requires more knowledge, more involvement, and more responsibility than traditional banking. You become your own risk manager, compliance officer, and investment committee. But for those who understand money as a tool rather than a safety blanket, shadow banking offers opportunities that traditional banking simply cannot provide. Higher returns through direct investment and lending, better terms through elimination of middlemen, more control through direct ownership, greater privacy through legal structures. Most importantly, shadow banking aligns your financial system with your wealth-building objectives rather than someone else's profit objectives. Traditional banks want to keep you as a depositor forever. Shadow banking strategies help you accumulate enough wealth that you eventually become your own bank. This transformation from customer to owner, from borrower to lender, from depositor to investor is what separates those who build wealth from those who merely earn income. Because in the end, banks profit by using your money to create wealth for themselves. Shadow banking allows you to cut out the middleman and create that wealth for yourself. The system exists. The strategies work. The only question is whether you're willing to take responsibility for your own financial ecosystem instead of depending on institutions that profit from your financial dependence. The shadow work of building wealth teaches discipline, systems thinking, delayed gratification, and strategic decision-making. These skills transfer to whatever you choose to build after wealth building is. complete. The question isn't whether you can build wealth. If you apply the principles in this book consistently over time, wealth building is inevitable. The question is what you'll build with that wealth once you have it. Because true wealth isn't about having money, it's about having the freedom to create whatever matters most to you without financial constraints limiting your options. The shadows taught you to build wealth. Now emerge into the light and build something worth having, wealth for. Because in the end, wealth that serves only itself serves nothing at all. But wealth that serves a purpose greater than accumulation becomes the foundation for a life that matters. That's the final lesson of the underground path. The destination isn't wealth itself, it's the freedom to choose your own destination.